Hello. I am continuing with the remodeling of the French Chateau, and this is the stage that I'm at this point. I'm going to start working on the window coverings. I'm using fabric that I got from a thrift store. I think it was a pillow or something, and I cut it up. There is a piece of velvet ribbon that I'm thinking would make a good window covering, which I will be doing probably on the second story. So I'm just measuring my openings here, seeing how high I want the rod to hit and where the second floor is going to hit. I've made the mistake of applying the window coverings too high, and then when I put in the second or third floor, then it won't sit right. So I have to measure and make sure that I have the right height and do a seam allowance on the entire curtain. This is going to be a no-sew, so I'm using hot glue for everything. I made it really difficult for myself picking out this particular fabric because this frays so easily. Every time you just cut it, it starts fraying. You just pick it up and it starts falling apart. So this was a little bit more difficult than I thought it would be. It might help to put some fabric tack or liquid stitch around the edges of your fabric and do seams. But yeah, don't want to spend too much time on that, and then I'd have to wait for the fabric tack to dry. So I'm just going to go ahead and hot glue it. Using this 12 gauge wire from Michael's Crafts for the curtain rod. It worked out well. I was ended up putting some beads on either side to cap it off. Now what I'm doing here is I'm just making a seam all the way around the curtain so it stops fraying. I just love working with hot glue. If you don't like hot glue, I completely understand. If you have a sewing machine and you want to sew, I would sew it. That would definitely be optimum. I'm hot glue nut. I love hot glue. I love the instant bond it gives. I love the way it bonds fabric. I don't like the strings. Of course, it's annoying and sometimes I burn myself. But overall, I love the speed at which I can craft with hot glue, and it's just a sure, strong bond. And works really well when you're trying to make fabric in a dollhouse lay the way real fabric would in a house. I find gluing, you see me here, I am gusseting these curtains and I'm just gluing them together and making them look heavy and positioned so when they're in the dollhouse they're not too stiff, which can make a dollhouse look unrealistic. if the curtains don't lay heavy looking. So, and I really want that feeling too, especially here in a chateau like build. I was watching a lot of YouTube videos on chateaus, and they usually have very large curtains and they hang very heavy. And generally, they're made out of velvet or some very heavy fabric or very elaborate fabric. So that is kind of the feel I wanted to get in this dollhouse, is to create that look. Now I'm making some tiebacks. I thought about making them a different color, but I tried different ribbon out I had and I wasn't happy with it, so I'm just going to go ahead and use the fabric, rolling it into like a tieback. And of course this is so easy because I don't actually have to tie back the curtain. I can just hot glue it. So I'm adding beads to the end of the wire, and these just happen to fit perfectly. I bought this flooring. It is the Make Market flooring from Michael's Crafts, and I can't stand it. It's way too shiny. It doesn't look realistic. So I'm peeling it off now, and I'm going to go with popsicle sticks and make my own flooring. Cutting a piece of marble-like contact paper right now because this is going to be the flooring portion of the bathroom that's on the 3rd story. Now I'm cutting the wall that's going to separate the bathroom and the bedroom. And here I am cutting what size opening. I want a large opening with double doors. And I think I'm just going to go with the square opening. I was thinking about going with a rounded one, but I'm just going to go with the square. So here I'm doing the pattern. I just started putting 2 popsicles together full length, and then 1 popsicle stick in the middle, and then 2 shorter popsicle sticks at the top and the bottom, and then starting the pattern over again for the floor. That's kind of the pattern that I started doing on another house build that I did, and I just kind of keep doing that same pattern. So it kind of varies the floorboards and makes it look more like a real wood floor rather than just doing them all lined up. I made the mistake of doing that on the Victorian house, and after that I promised myself I would do it the right way, and that would be to vary the sticks, but repeat the pattern over and over again. And I think it looks a lot better this way. I am making sure that with each stick that I select that I make sure it fits right. Unfortunately, the Dollar Tree popsicle sticks are not all even, and some of them are bowed, so I like to make sure they kind of fit before I glue it down or even attempt to cut it to put it in place. Here I'm showing the pattern of the 2 sticks, then the one in the center. And this end piece here, I have a special technique to get that cut. So what I do is, because the popsicle stick has to be cut really thin, if you press too hard with your X-Acto knife, you will crack the stick. So what I do is I score it first. So I just scored it. I'm just using super light pressure. I score it again, 2, 3, 4 times. And then it slowly goes through the stick and it doesn't cut it incorrectly. If I put the stick down, which I'm going to show here, and I just go for broke and I press and try to do it in one cut, then this is what happens. You're not going to get a perfect cut. It's going to crack the stick unevenly. I found that out the hard way. I should have went with mixing the satin Mod Podge with the matte. This made the floor a little too shiny, but it turned out okay. Now I'm moving back down to the first floor and I'm going to do some fabric wall pieces. I was going to do something else. I think I was going to do sconces or something down in the dining room, but then looking at it, I decided to take the fabric from the chairs and put it on the wall. And you'll see how it comes out. It comes out looking pretty good. I decide to not go with the sconces and just go with a gold decorative bead end. and it looks pretty good. I was happy with it. I didn't want to clutter up the walls too much. I want a very simplistic look, but I do want it to look like a chateau. And I know the chateaus do have fabric on the walls. And so that's what gave me the idea to go ahead and just take some repurposed chipboard from a box I had and cover it with fabric and mount it on the wall. Just trying to age this mirror just a little bit. It was just a little too gold and a little too flashy. It's nothing that a little matte acrylic paint won't fix. Now I'm moving on to the stairs, and I'll be honest, I tried this with the 1/8 square dowels and it didn't work very well. I couldn't get them to line up, so I went back to my tried and true method of using the diamond toothpicks. And the great thing is that I'm using foam board, so I was able to just make use a little pointy pick and make holes in the foam board and then just drive the toothpicks right into the foam board. And they hold in place. It gives you time to adjust them. You don't have to glue them in place right away. And once they're in there, then you can paint them. They're much easier to paint when they're being held by the foam board. And then I just was able to come back with this other piece, drill some holes in it, and glue it right onto the top. It was so much easier that way. But I did spend probably an hour and a half to 2 hours trying it the other way. And that was, yeah, That was an epic fail, but that happens sometimes when you're doing crafts. So now I'm going to finish the furniture that I started making for this particular build. Here's the original chair that I made for this house. And as you can see, it was my first attempt at making this kind of trying to make furniture look fancy for a chateau. And here is the new set of chairs that I made. I have made a French chair before. I think I did a video on it. This is a slightly larger version, so I'm kind of customizing my scale at this point. But I feel like it's looking a lot better than the other one. And it's all made out of chipboard. Everything, it's all chipboard fabric, and there's some felt for the seat cushion, but it's all chipboard. And then I sealed it with some Mod Podge, which kind of made it hard. And so that works really good. So all I have to do now is add the legs to it. And away we go. I'm adding chipboard to the very lower edge of the chair. This will help give a surface for the legs to glue onto, and it'll just make the chair overall more sturdy, and it'll give it more of a finished look. Now I should have put this on before I put the cushion, the seat part on with the fabric, because now I'm going to have to paint this chipboard and try not to get any paint on the fabric. So I would recommend painting it first and then adding your fabric covered pieces to it at the end. But it just so happens that this is how this chair was made without this piece of chipboard, and so now I'm adding it, which means that I didn't think ahead as to which step to do first. But I will be very careful when I paint it, and hopefully I won't get any on the fabric. Now I'm carving out the little legs, and this is pretty easy to do actually. This wood is extremely soft. Not all balsa is this soft. So just you can use your X-Acto knife on it and it will whittle at it very easily, which gives it that concave look and makes the legs look more real. When I'm gluing here, I'm making sure that the flat side is glued to that edge. That gives it a little bit more stability.